nutshell, everybody, I want to go over something that I know everybody probably has a problem with, but I think I found a solution for. And that is a handheld battery power bank. We'll talk more about it. This little guy works wonders. So if you're like me, you probably have either an old camera or you have probably a new camera, but you want to figure out different ways to power your camera without using a V-mount battery. And that could be a little hassle. But SmallRig has introduced a new power bank, and it's called the SmallRig CB75. It's a great power bank. I like it from the time I opened the package. It has a sleek design, it's very small, it's very slim, and it does everything that you need it to do. Before purchasing this battery, I should say, because this is not sponsored, I used to use the Powerbase Core Edge battery. Now, this battery is pretty heavy, but it gets the job done. Now, there are a few things I like about this battery that it doesn't have in this battery, but that doesn't mean that this is any less. This just means that this is made in a different time and for a different design and for a different purpose. But we'll get into that later. Right, so I used to use these batteries on my Blackmagic camera. One of the benefits about using this battery is that it comes with a plate that you can actually detach from the battery. And that was one of the key things that I found when I opened this package that it didn't have. I was actually kind of bummed out about it. SmallRig, if you do come out with an upgraded version to this, try to include a little plate. That way it makes it easier for you to charge. You can just swap out the battery by just taking off the battery and leaving on the plate. That way you can put the plate back on and it's a 1, 2, 3 fix. From the start, opening this box, I found that this battery, as you can see, I use it on this device here. This is my Canon R5C. I found that this battery is very lightweight. Few things that stood out is the LCD display. It's bright. It also has a power button on it, which also lets you know what amperage is being used, how much voltage you have left, and of course, it does give you a choice to actually turn on and off, like I said before. That was one of the cons with this battery, is that you couldn't turn it off once you plugged it. Sometimes you would have to jump start it, so to speak, or wake it back up by just plugging it into a D-tap or any power source, because it will go to sleep. And that was a little problem. So let's say you just carried the battery, which stupidly you wouldn't carry a charger for it. But let's just say you carried the battery and you didn't have a charger. You would have no way of waking up this battery except through USB-C, so to speak. And even then, sometimes I don't even think it would work. So you would have to add the D-tap battery. Another thing that I disliked about the battery is the fact that it doesn't have a V-mount plate. But once again, these batteries serve different purposes. Like I said, this is a power bank. Although this is a power bank as well, this one comes with a V-mount so that you can actually strap it to the back of your rig if you need to. So you can swap between using a V-mount, a bigger V-mount setup, or use one of these. Or you can actually put this under your rig for your gimbal setup. That's another way that I used to power my cameras. I used to use it with this as well. So without it, it kind of places a slight limitation, but that doesn't mean that this battery isn't good. So those are just the two things that I didn't like about the battery. So let's go into the positives about this battery. In comparison to the other battery, it's very heavy, which means that you have a smaller footprint and it's easier to just walk around, especially as a handheld device like this. It's easier to carry. You can just slap this in your bag. It doesn't take up that much space. It's actually very thin. I forgot, and let me just jump back to this, another con. When you have this attached to your camera, the only way to get it off is to actually unscrew it. So if you don't have an Allen key with you, this is stuck just as it is, which is also disappointing because now to take away from your production, you have to put the camera to the side, unscrew it, find your new battery, place it back on, screw it back up. I mean, in theory, it doesn't sound like it takes that much, but you know, those 5-10 minutes where you really just want to pop in a new battery and just go, which could take for anywhere from 10 seconds to now 2 to 5 minutes. You can lose a lot of footage, especially if you are doing something live or whatever, and you can't swap out your battery. So that's another con. I do like the fact that you have a D-tap port on each side, so it gives you the opportunity to have something in from one. So like I plug this camera into here and I can plug something else. Let's just say I have the monitor. If I had a monitor attached to it, I can use the D-tap port here, or I can also use the two USB-C ports that are here, which is also a good thing. Now, a lot of people like to power their camera via USB-C, which you can do with this. I wouldn't actually have a dummy battery in here. I would actually remove the dummy battery, put in a real battery into this, and then power it by USB-C, which also is good for the R5C if you want to use the 8K recording, 8K60 recording, I should say. Because now with the new update, you actually have to have the LPE6P batteries in order to get that usage from this camera. So by powering through this USB-C, everything flows seamless. Battery life, which is also crucial. When I first opened it, of course, it wasn't charged completely. I think it was 25% or whatever. Charged up to 100. It took about an hour and a half, maybe. Yeah, I would say an hour and a half, maybe a little bit, an hour to get to a full 100%. I did a battery test and I started it at 60p only because I use different frame rates, whether it be 23, 29, or even sometimes 120. And when I started it in 60 frames per second, it had about 4 hours and 50 minutes of runtime available for use. I just let it run, just did a little small test, let it run, and checked about the halfway mark. It still had a good enough juice for 50%. Then something that I noticed is that when I just changed it back to 23.97, it gave me an hour more for usage, which is surprising, but then again, it was expected because this camera does become battery hungry. Outside of that, the battery bank, it's 75 watt amps. So that alone will get you through the day. It does have a cell capacity of 20,000 milliamps per hour. So that's pretty good. To be correct, it's 73.8 kilowatts as it's rated on the back of this box by SmallRig. So that's pretty good. It also has an 8 volt output, which is pretty decent for anybody that's looking for output that you want to use for it. So that is on the other side here, and that is through this amp right here. Then you also have your USB-C, which I talked about, and that gives you about a 65 watt output or input if needed. So SmallRig power bank actually packs a little punch. It's something good that you can have. Like I said, it's not for everybody, it's not for every use case, but for those that like to carry around their camera, this works around with you very good. You can have this for, like I said, about 4 to 5 hours, depending on how you shoot. I mean, you're not gonna run it completely all day just like that. That's just worst case scenario. But at the same time, that just shows that you can have it for just about a full day if you use it sparingly. I'd say that this battery would be a good use to anybody's kit, whether you are using the Blackmagic or whether you're using something like the Canon R5C. So you guys drop a comment. Let me know if you use power banks to power up your camera. If so, which one? And if not, would you actually take a look at this new power bank by SmallRig? Once again, this is not sponsored. This was purchased by my own money. But I just want to know the opinions and if you guys are into this type of power as opposed to the traditional V-mount battery. So with that being said, drop a comment below and I will see you guys in the next one. And until then, stay creative. Peace.